We're here at the Tamiya booth. I'm Scott, and this is Brian the Beaver Boss.
Hi, Beaver Boss Brian here.
Actually, ostensibly I'm the shacho, or the boss of Beaver, but let's be honest here. We know who runs the show.
Well, Emperor
over at our import subsidiary. Oh my God! Look at this. How to feel old. We already look old. Now they're going to make us feel old. Tamiya's Military Miniature Series is 50 years old.
50 years old.
Of course, you and I got Tamiya's Military Miniature Series beat by a few years.
By a few. Yeah.
But we have some history in the case here. Wow, check this stuff out. 50 years of great 35th scale modeling from Tamiya.
Yep. All kinds of good stuff.
Thank you, Shunsaku. Although we're not seeing Mr. Tamiya around today. If we see him, I'd like to grab him.
Exactly.
I'd love to hear him wax nostalgic about this stuff. So some of the great classic kits from years gone by. Do you have a favorite in here, or anything that you've built before, Brian?
Oh, let me see some of the older ones. Well, the Dragon Wagon is a
Ah, yes, the Dragon Wagon. That was in the
late 80s, early 90s.
Was that the 90s?
Yeah,
I think that came out in the
1998. They got all the labels right here. 1990. Well, this is a classic figure set from '68. These three German guys.
1968.
1968. Well, that's when the series started. So those three guys, tank crew, driver, tank commander, and probably the loader or the gunner, sitting out of the hatch there.
And of course the 88, that version I think came out in 2006. I think a few years back, I might be wrong, but I think I saw a few years back somebody ran a survey. What's your favorite Tamiya military miniature kit? And I think the 88 was like the highest one. Yeah, it was like number one.
I think so. And this is one of the newest ones. The Stuart just came out 2018, right. So that's 50 years right there. And we'll be seeing some more stuff, some brand new stuff.
And who could forget the street signs?
Yeah. I've got a couple of those sets actually. Yes. Street signs there, and that's from 1975. Yowza.
Okay, we could do this all day. Let's just check out the other stuff. Do you want to go this way? Let's go this way.
Well, let's stay military.
All right, we'll go this way.
As long as we can get through the crowd here. Well, this is a brand new release here that's just come out. This is a that's the Type 16.
This is that thing they had in Shizuoka a few months ago. The actual thing was on display at the hobby show.
Yep, Type 16 maneuver combat vehicle. So they got the kit. They've also got the separate metal barrel set.
So basically, this is a tank on tires. Would that be fair to call it that?
Pretty much. I guess they got tired of ripping up roads with the tracked vehicles, so
because to my layman's eyes, I mean everything from here up, that's just tank.
It's a tank, yeah. Well, it's got a 105 millimeter. I think that's a low pressure cannon, not a high pressure cannon, but but it'll still blow you up real good.
Sure it would.
Yeah. So this is one of their newest.
I'm sure this will sell great domestically just because of national pride. But is there anything overseas? Do any other militaries have something like this?
Yeah, Italy has the Centauro.
Centauro,
which is essentially the same thing. The American Striker gun system tank is. I think it's got a crewless turret, but it's also a 105 millimeter gun in there.
Okay.
But the same general layout: 8 wheels, turret, gun, boom.
Well, it looks like it'd be fun to build, and I've actually seen the real thing, so that kind of
yeah. They parked it next to our booth at Shizuoka.
Okay. All right, I'm going to have to claim complete ignorance on an M3A1 Scout car.
Well, this is all new kit, all new tooling of the M3 Scout car. If you're familiar with the M3 half-track, it looks kind of a lot like that, the front end and all that, except in the back, it's not Caterpillar tracks, it's a wheel.
Just
regular wheels. So I think there have been a couple kits released of this previously, one by Peerless Max a million years ago.
Right.
One of the Eastern European makers make one, IBG I think it is, or maybe ICM, not sure. But Tamiya this is also celebrating the 50th year.
So it's just a utility vehicle, basically?
Yeah, but you can put guns in it.
So how is this different from just a Jeep, or just a good old Jeep?
It's much bigger, for one thing, as you can see there. You can pack a lot of people in. This is a Russian version here. Russians use the M3 a lot.
Oh, really?
The American version.
Lend-lease thing or something?
Or they just sold, probably Lend-lease, because there's a lot of stuff went over with Lend-lease.
Was that just for the Brits? I don't remember.
No, they got they got M3 leads and a lot of M3s in there too. You got the sprue layout here, you can see, with a nice figure set there. These are the Russians, I think. Where's the hat?
Okay.
Yeah, these are the Russian figures there. This is coming out in November, 3,500 yen. So that's a great new kit coming. Here's the big news for the 50th anniversary.
The big news is
the M551 Sheridan.
Ah, yes. I'm not super familiar with this vehicle, but a lot of my friends on Facebook were apparently super familiar with it because I've seen a lot of chatter on my Facebook feed about the armor fans getting excited about this. Now this is from Vietnam, not World War II.
Yep, this is from Vietnam era thing. Well, used up until the Gulf War. They had the Gulf War version too, which I hope we see later. But this is the Vietnam version.
To put my ignorance on full display here, this is like a light tank, like a little cruiser tank.
Well, it's called the airborne tank because it's airdroppable. You know, put it in the C-130 on a pallet, dump it out the back.
So a Hercules could
carry this, yeah.
Drop this out the back on a parachute.
Out the back on a parachute, or they did that. If you've ever seen that one where they fly low over the runway and just sort of dump it out the back.
Right.
It slides on there. So I've seen video of that, I think. Well, let's have a look at the little guy here. Yeah. Well, it's not that little. It's a light tank, but it was an aluminum chassis, or aluminum hull, I think, actually. And here's the built-up kit of it. Now, this metal barrel and some of the, those photo etch parts are going to be sold separately.
Yeah, we got there's a close-up of the extra parts set here.
See down there.
Nice rifling inside the barrel there.
Yeah, but the kit itself, as it comes with, you got some rubber wire, rubber tube, I guess, a wire, some metal parts, and some plastic screen to make this anti-thing on the front there. But yeah, this is great.
Let's ask this gentleman if he could tell us what some of the highlights of the kit are. I mean, we've kind of picked some out, but 今回のキットのこのハイライトというか、一番自慢したいところって何か特別ありますか？
何ですか？
やはりこうリアルな人形ですかね。
フィギュアですか？
はい。
はい。
こちら側面のちゃんと不揃いに、一応通り不揃いにしてある。
Okay, so he says that the two cool things are they really love their figures. They think the figures are super realistic. And then also the rivets. The rivets on the side panel of the tank are actually not, they're kind of irregular. That's the word I want. They're spaced irregularly as they were on the real vehicle. So it looks kind of got that handmade sort of feel that apparently the real vehicle had.
Now, one thing I can tell you just by looking at this, and I was even not worried, but I was wondering how they were going to do it, are the tracks. You know, the Sheridan has no return rollers at the top, so it's got a very characteristic sag for the top of the tracks there. And if they were going to do it with rubber belts or vinyl belts, very hard to get the natural sag. So they're doing, you know, the good old link and length thing, where the top run is one piece, and then you got links to go around the road wheel, drive wheel and idler. And so yeah, it looks wonderful. You get that beautiful, you know, if you look at it from the front, you can really see the natural sag on there.
So the actual tank, when it was rolling though, if they're bumping up and down on dirty
flopping
terrain,
around,
it's going to be hitting the top of the road wheels and causing some friction and stuff there.
Yeah.
Because normally that's what the return rollers are meant to prevent.
To keep it tight, yeah. So if you see them video these things rolling, it's rocking and rolling.
Really?
But yeah, this looks great. As it is right here. I was wondering how they were going to do that, hoping that it was going to be link and length, and it is. So it's great. He also said that the figures are a very big part.
They're very proud of them, he said. Very realistic.
Two guys, Vietnam.
So can we, これは持ってても大丈夫ですか? ちょっと.
The figures?
Let's take a look here, yeah. So let's take a look at the figures that Tamiya themselves are so proud of here. We got the guys up on riding along on the top of the turret there. And we got a driver poking his head out from the bow area.
Oh yeah,
tank
so
there.
three figures.
He's down there.
Two and a half probably.
There he is.
Sweet.
So yeah, straight out of Vietnam. It's the M551 Sheridan.
値段とかはまだ未定ですか? はい、わかりました.
No price, no release date yet.
冬発売. Yeah.
All right.
Gonna be on sale this winter.
Spit Mark I.
Fire.
Wow. Spit. Oh, come on. You tank guys, you don't
know. Spit. No.
The Spitfire Mark I, it's hard to find a much more classic aircraft or important aircraft in aviation history than a Mark I Spitfire. This is, where it all began for the RAF in World War II. I could go on and on with Spitfire, trivia. A lot of the people who are watching this probably already know way more than I do about the aircraft. But the Spitfire, one of the very few aircraft that was in production before the start of World War II and remained in production after the end of World War II. Of course, the Spitfire Mark I that we have here and the Spit like Mark 23 and stuff that we were seeing at the end of the war look kind of the same, but the innards were completely, I think we went from something like 1,200 horsepower to over 2,000.
Yeah.
So a lot of changes.
Crazy at the end.
Tamiya's new kit, very exciting choice by them, is not representing the super early Spits with the two-blade propeller, but the more mass-produced version of the aircraft. And they've got all the parts you're going to need to do any of the minor variations that were seen in the type. 3 different types of front canopies, 2 types of pitot cons, 2 types of antennas, 3 different types of gun sights. They've also gone out of their way, they're showing here on the design of the tail parts to construct it so that you get a proper alignment of the tail fin. Usually on aircraft that are designed like this, you have a left and right horizontal stabilizer part. that connects separately. But then of course you run the problems of sometimes getting them in a not perfectly flat alignment. So by having us attach the vertical stabilizer after it and sandwiching the horizontal in, you're going to get a perfect tail configuration on the kit. So yeah. Just in case anyone's wondering, this is a completely new tool.
All new
There's
tooling.
absolutely no parts on this that have been shared with their any of their earlier Spitfire models. So, wow, hard to complain about this as a release. Wasn't expecting it. Of course, it looks like we can pose it with the canopy in both the open or closed position, and the definitive British style boarding door open here,
door open.
which you actually see a lot when you're seeing Spitfires on the ground too.
And you've been in a Spitfire, right?
I've actually had the opportunity to sit in a Spitfire on the ground. Sadly, not when it was in the air.
Did you use the door?
I don't remember, but you probably have to because it's really tiny in this airplane. When I used to do aircraft, pictorial books, way back in the day, I had the opportunity to sit in a number of aircraft, and the Spit and the Zero were really small. But any of the big American planes like Corsairs or Thunderbolts, or the biggest ever I sat in was a P-38 Lightning. The canopy area just huge and relaxing almost compared to.
I guess the Lightning's
Spit.
for me then.
P-38, yeah, you would probably be more comfortable in a P-38, Brian. But yeah, this is a very exciting release that just about any modeler is going to want on their shelf. Marquand Spitfire.
And what is this celebrating 100 years of the Royal Air Force?
Of the RAF, yeah. 100 years of the RAF and 50 years of Tamiya military modeling, although this is not
part of the MM
not
series.
Part of the MM series, but still, I'm sure it was inspired.
Yeah. Well, what do we got down here? We got people, obviously, but
got a layout of all the parts for the kit down there.
Have a look at the sprues if we can muscle our way in there.
As usual, Tamiya has included photo etch where photo etch need be. We got canopy frames, seat belts, grills, all of the good stuff being done in
canopy frames too? Oh, is that what these are? The opening back section. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep, and you can see here we got some exposed canopy or cockpit detail here that you can see.
It does come with a figure.
There
is a figure on the sprues as well. I see.
So yeah. Unless you're an absolute detail maniac, you're not going to need to buy any aftermarket stuff to build a beautiful Spit here.
I see the wingtips are separate parts, so that would lend for different variations.
Mark 5s and stuff like that. Yeah. We'll see where they go from there.
Excellent.
All right, here we are at the Aoshima booth now. So Aoshima, always, their main thing really now lately is cars. They have lots of cars. So we got the Hurricane. Aoshima is going to be rocking everybody like a Hurricane this, when is this going to be released? This December. That one's coming out soon. We have the Liberty Walk Skylines, although I think they have actually released these ones previously, probably new editions of that. We've got the 30-second scale snap kits that they're doing. These are really, so far they've been some really Japanese cars, so maybe not too much interest outside, but one cool announcement that they do have at this show is there's going to be the GTR. So the GTR, we finally get like a really cool car is joining the lineup. This one is going to be released in 2019. So these kits, as the name implies, they're all snapped together. They come with stickers, so it's basically like a car kit, or like a Gundam, but with cars. So if you want to build a car, but you don't really want to paint it, you don't want to do any of that difficult stuff, then hey, this lineup may be for you. Another cool release they have recently that just came out, I love this car. This is the 2000 GT. So this is Toyota's old sports car, kind of looks like an old Jaguar-styled sports car. The engine was a straight 6-cylinder. The engine was designed by Yamaha. But yeah, this car is kind of famous, mostly here in Japan or with old Japanese car fans.
Well, so we made it back from the hobby show in the nick of time. Yeah. There was a typhoon came in, and they actually had to shorten the show by 2 hours to give everybody a chance to get home.
Right, that was Typhoon 25.
24. I think it's 24.
25 is on the
25 is bearing down now as
this year's just been crazy for typhoons.
Yeah. There was a few things we didn't get to cover on the floor of the show directly. Let's see, we had, I like that new Macross Delta version of the Draken.
Oh,
I've always thought the Saab Draken was a cool looking airplane back from the 70s, and Macross Delta's covering that. Fine Mold, speaking of aircraft, they have a new version of their BF-109 in 72nd scale.
Yeah, that's
the G6 in Hartmann, markings for Hartmann, one of the top German aces. And what was the other one? Yeah, the Kamikaze. I personally thought that was a very interesting plane. From aviation history.
Right, now you mentioned the Kamikaze, but that's not like the Kamikaze that most people...
Right, it's the Kamikaze. That was the name of the aircraft. This is pre-war.
That's right. So
from back in the day when, newspapers, we didn't have electronic communications. So when photographers took film out in the field, you know, they would have to put the film on a fast airplane to rush it back to their offices to publish, trying to rush it back to beat the competition, of course. So yeah, back in the day, newspaper companies all had these fast courier aircraft, and their Kamikaze, which was a sort of a decommissioned warplane, was so fast they figured they'd enter it in this, you know, long-term like speed
race. Yeah, they used to have those back in the day, Thompson Trophy type stuff.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So in cars, we had some cool cars too. I thought it was kind of neat that Tamiya did a mini four-wheel drive version of an actual vehicle, which you don't really see.
That does look pretty cool.
The Le Mans winning, I think it was the TS50.
Toyota? Yeah. I believe it's Toyota, so I think that's the second time they've won Le Mans, because Mazda did it back in the 90s with the 787. Now Toyota has done it as well, and Tamiya's bringing us that cool mini Yonku four-wheel drive
just the whole
car.
fact that they're doing a mini Yon that isn't, you know, fake. It's not just a fantasy car; it's an actual vehicle.
Although because it's a race car, it actually does look like a fantasy car.
It does, yes.
So it really just fits right in with that series, which is cool.
What was that that blue thing from Hasegawa?
Oh, that's right. That was cool. Also, Hasegawa, and this is, I think, this is the first time it's been modeled in 1/24 scale. It's the R91 CP. And
You'll have to help me out. I'm not sure.
was a Nissan-developed car. So Group C was a famous racing series mostly in the 1980s.
Right.
Beginning of the 1990s is when it kind of died off, because Group C was kind of getting, it was, at one time it was as famous as Formula One.
Right.
And Group C, Theo went ahead and they kind of changed the regulations for Group C, which kind of killed off the series. But yeah, this R91 CP from Nissan, this was the last Group C car that they ever developed.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool to see.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff indeed.
It was a lot of fun to be there. I'm glad we made it home safe. You wouldn't think about it was a typhoon after having such beautiful weather like we are today. We're out here in front of Hobby Link. It's a beautiful fall day. They're literally harvesting the rice in front of our offices as we speak here. And so that's going to do it pretty much for the fall hobby show period. Of course, the next big event will be the Shizuoka show. But
2019.
That's going to be almost 8 months away, though, unfortunately. So. In the meantime, you can amuse yourself with our video about Beaver, which will be coming up shortly, where we cover all the neat stuff that our import subsidiary is bringing into Japan, and of course should also be available through ourselves, and also, of course, a lot of places overseas too. But the news factor, I think, will be very interesting.
I think so.
So thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and we hope you've enjoyed our videos, and we'll see you again next time.